Welcome to Paint Ed. PCA provides painting contractors with connections they need to grow their business. To find out more and to become a member, visit pcapainted.org. Find more great content just like this on PCA Overdrive. A subscription to the platform is included with membership. For all you non-members out there, sign up for a free trial. PCA Overdrive is available on the App Store and Google Play. This episode is brought to you by Benjamin Moore and Sherwin-Williams.
Every bit of brand awareness marketing you do has those three things. It's your name, it's what you do, and it's somehow building in some way or another a connection with those people.
Welcome back to another episode of the Elite Business Advice podcast. My name is Chris Moore, the founder of Elite Business Advisors, your host here for the podcast. Let's talk about the role that brand awareness plays in your overall marketing plan for your company. Today, we've got a friend of mine here with us, Jon Beach with Skilled Trades Media. Jon specializes in helping make contractors locally famous by enhancing their brand awareness through over-the-top advertising and traditional marketing methods, all focused kind of around this brand awareness concept, which is why he's here with us. So today we're going to talk about what brand awareness is, when you should be investing into it, and how much you should be investing into brand awareness compared to maybe just more so focused on lead generation activities. So I hope it helps. Thanks for plugging in. This is the Elite Business Advice podcast. Jon, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
I retired military.
Okay.
20 years active duty in the Air Force. Thank you very much. When I retired, I've always made films.
Okay.
I like making movies, and I decided, maybe my post Air Force job would be making ads, video ads for people. And that has grown into Skilled Trades Media, where we not only make the ads, but we also make sure people see the ads.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how long have you been doing Skilled Trades Media?
4 years.
4 years now.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So as we talk about brand awareness, I'm good to just hop into it because I know we have a lot we want to cover here today. So we talk about brand awareness. Like, number one, let's just define.
Absolutely.
What is your definition of brand awareness? Because I always hear people talk about it, and I think everybody's got different definitions of it.
That's absolutely right. I think everybody has a different definition, and I think a lot of people inadvertently misunderstand. Everyone knows the word brand awareness, but what does it really mean?
Yep.
When I think about brand awareness, I think about the classic adage, know, like, and trust.
Yep.
Okay. And the first part of that is know. Yep. Does a homeowner know your business name? And the corollary to that is, do they know what you do? Yeah. That's really important. Now, a lot of painters, painting is in the name, so it's relatively straightforward, but there are a lot of contractors that's not the case for.
Yep.
So that's the first thing. Do they know you? Do they like you? Okay. If you're the front person, so, Elite Painting, Chris, ideally, if someone saw you on the street, they'd already know what you look like.
Yep.
They'd already have a feeling for who you are. They'd already kind of like you, and they'd know, they feel comfortable walking up to you. That's the like part. And you get that when you work with a client, but good brand awareness is having that before they've ever met you.
It's almost like the parasocial relationship or omnipresent relationship.
Yes.
Sorry. Big words, not good. But like we talk about that a lot with social media, right? Like having that omnipresent relationship, where people know you without knowing you.
Yes.
And that's kind of the world we live in digitally these days.
Exactly.
Right? There's a lot of people that might know who we are just because of our podcast or because of our social media or something that I have no idea who they are, right? Yep. So it is building that trust and that like, knowing. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Getting someone to like you without having met them.
Yep.
And then that last part is that trust. Do they trust that Elite Painting is going to show up on time? Yeah. They're going to do the work they're supposed to do. They're going to clean up after themselves and then fix any problems that they have. Yep. And so in my mind, it's those three for brand awareness. Right. And I think a lot of people, when they think brand awareness, they only think about the know part. Yeah. And it's so much more than that. It's telling your story and getting people to really know who you are before they need your service.
That's a really good perspective. I have to ask before we go on, did you know my painting company was called Elite Painting? Have we talked about that before, or did you just make that up?
I don't remember.
That's impressive.
I know you did painting before, and since it's Elite Business Advertise or Market or Elite Business Advisors, I just assumed, I guess, that it
was Elite Painting. That's hilarious, though. I was like, wait, have we talked about this? I was like, I know he knows I ran a painting company.
Yeah.
So no, I think that's good. I think that perspective is helpful, right? Because people think brand awareness, they think big picture. People just want to see our brand, know our name, whatever. But I like that you really focus on trying to take that a step further. And I think that's probably why you do the type of advertising you do, is because you want to build that like and trust factor as well, in addition to just the know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's solid. Why is brand awareness important for contractors? Right. Okay. So now we know what it is. We know the 3 facets of it. Why is it important?
I think it's so important because, studies vary, but somewhere between 50 and 80% of homeowners can't name a single painter, roofer, or electrician off the top of their head. Okay. So if they decide that they need painting services, they don't already have a name. You know who doesn't have that problem? McDonald's doesn't have that problem.
No.
If you're hungry, 99.9% of Americans know McDonald's has food. And they also know the brand. They know that they're going to get fast, cheap, sometimes good, and definitely make them fat. Okay. You don't get that in the contracting world. No. You're lucky if 10 or 15 or 20% of people can actually pick a painter out of the top of their head.
Right.
And so let's think about a homeowner then. If you've decided, you own a house, you're like, I really want to get some painting done. Okay. Since you don't already know somebody, you really only have 2 choices. You are going to ask a friend, look for a referral.
Right.
Okay. Which is totally great. Word of mouth is awesome. Or you're going to go to Google and you're going to type in painter near me. And then you're going to look at web pages, reviews, number of reviews, stars like that. And that's fine. But what if instead, when you decide to get your house painted, you already know a painter, you already trust, you already like them? That's a much easier sell in terms of getting business through the door, because you have that brand awareness that most contractors just simply don't have.
No, that's good. I'm going to relay this in a spot that I'm still bitter about not having a painting company anymore. So when we built our house, we knew for years before we built it that if and when we ever built a house, Spencer Homes was going to be who we built with.
Okay.
I didn't know anybody that worked at Spencer. I actually didn't know anybody personally that ever built a house with Spencer Homes.
Okay.
What they did well was their social media.
Okay, there you go.
And highlighting their houses, the features, the quality, like the look of them. And like my wife and I, for a year and a half before we even started the journey, would just send each other like posts or, hey, did you see what Spencer posted today? Brand awareness.
That's brand awareness.
No, like, trust, credibility.
Exactly.
Right?
Already.
And so I'm mad about that because we can't do that in our business these days, right? We can build a case study over a year and find a way to put it into a video, but I can't just go into somebody's house and make this amazing transformation like I used to be able to do in painting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Arguably, you can still do that some with the content you're creating, but it's still different, right?
It's different.
Because we don't have that visual aesthetic that all of these contractors listening to this have at their disposal.
Yes.
So even if it's just simplicity social media, highlight it. Find other ways, and I know we'll talk about that, on how you can highlight that to where it gets people's attention, because people are going to listen to this. I wanted to bring that up because I already know somebody heard that listening to this podcast, and they go, yeah, well, nobody's going to just know a painter. No, they will.
No, if you do it correctly, they can.
They will.
You can be the painter in your local market.
You can be the person that people know in your market before they need you.
Absolutely.
It's not hard. It takes time. It takes strategy.
Yes.
But it's possible.
It's absolutely possible.
So yes, home builder might be like a big, shiny object. And people are like, well, yeah, but they're not going to know. No, they will. They will. If you do it right, they will know. So where do you start? So we're talking about this, right? Okay, I'm listening to this. I've got Elite Painting. We need to start doing more brand awareness stuff. Where do I start, Jon?
So in my mind, there's 3 ways to get brand awareness. Okay, and they go from stuff you should already be doing to much more complicated stuff. Word of mouth is number 1. Okay, and this isn't word of mouth like I've decided I'm going to paint my house and I go look at Bob, who I know got his house painted a couple weeks ago. This is Bob got Elite Painting to come do his painting, and you blew his socks off. You took care of him so well that then when I go to Bob, as my neighbor, I'm like, hey, Bob, you got your house painted. He's like, oh, man, Chris, that dude is awesome. That is word of mouth marketing, brand awareness that just can't be beat. Okay, and it's the best brand awareness. And that comes down to the basic blocking and tackling of any contractor's business, taking care of your clients. So as long as, if you're doing that and you're doing it really effectively and you're following up with them and you ask for, don't be afraid to ask for referrals.
Wait, we're supposed to ask for referrals?
Yeah, exactly.
No way.
Exactly. Ask for referrals, ask for Google reviews. you can make customers advocates for you, but you got to take care of them.
Yep.
So that's number one. Everyone should be doing that
Love
as
it.
just entry level stuff. Second, I would say is what I bucket as organic.
Okay.
And organic is stuff that you can do on your own relatively inexpensively without too much effort. So you did a marketing podcast a couple weeks ago where you talked about a bunch of things, door knockers, or door hangers. Door hangers is a great example. You can do brand awareness on your door hangers. And later on we can talk about what makes good brand awareness marketing, but 100% you should be doing that kind of stuff. Truck wraps. I used to think truck wraps were dumb, but I have totally changed my opinion. You drive down the neighborhood and you see some guys painting and they have a white panel truck that's rusted, I automatically don't like that company. And most people, that's the same way. I see a beautiful wrap that tells me about that company and I see dudes in uniforms. Even though I don't know anything else, I automatically trust them a little bit more. That is brand awareness.
Professionalization.
Exactly. Be professional. Other things include, work signage, putting signs up, stuff like that. Facebook and Instagram posts. I do agree. People should be doing that. I think I'm not 100% convinced that, like a lot of marketers say, you should be doing it, several times a week. I don't think that that's bad, but the reality is Facebook is a big company where like 90% of their revenue comes from marketing. They're only going to give just enough away free to get your money.
Always.
Always. But you should be doing that. You should absolutely be doing that. At a minimum, you should be keeping the lights on. Nothing looks worse than to go to a business's Facebook page and see they haven't posted for 3 years. I mean, maybe that's the marketer in me, but like I automatically turn.
No, I feel the same way.
100%.
I mean, if you go to, think about it. If you're going to do something fun and you're looking them up and you're like, oh, they haven't posted in 6 months. Your first thought is, are they still open?
Are they still open?
Did they make it through the last 5 years, right?
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think we usually say 2 to 3 times a week. Like 3 times is a perfect cadence. You want to do 2, you want to do 4, anywhere in there is great. But as you said, you have to understand the science and the game behind it. And Facebook and Meta, they make their money from advertising. They're not going to show your stuff as much if you're not paying for it.
Absolutely not.
But still a necessity and ways you can hack the algorithm. We've done episodes and talk about that a lot.
Absolutely.
That's good.
In terms of other stuff, I've heard people toss these around. I personally don't give them a lot of credit. Viral videos. People. You should be making videos. We're recording on a camera today, and it looks fine. Everyone should be able to pull their camera out and take videos of themselves, of their projects. That's easy. It's a no-brainer. Trying to make a viral video, there's something like 2 million videos posted to Facebook or YouTube every day. So chances of your video going viral is almost non-existent. You're better off getting scratch tickets. And even if it does, videos that go viral aren't videos that tell your story, that don't build brand awareness. They're you following the current TikTok trend where you're dancing. That's not. I don't see that helping. That maybe get some eyeballs, maybe get your name out there, but that's not a strategy. That's hoping and praying that you latch on with everybody.
And like you said, what are the odds that one of your 3 posts a week are going to go viral?
Not going to happen.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
I think it makes sense to be strategic in the content you create? I know like a big part of that is shares. People that are sending your content to other people. How do you create content that might be more likely to be funny or shared or, and start that trend, right? So there can be some strategy to make it better than nothing. But the odds of you getting 1 million views on something, it's funny. Nick Slavic says a lot. He's like one of the more famous influencers here in the industry, if you haven't met him yet. But he always says, I can post the best business, painting, contractor, painting, craftsmanship content. And I'll get decent views just because of my following. He's like, I'll post a video of me spearfishing a fish in the frozen lake in Minnesota in January and go viral. Right? And
those are, but what does that do for brand awareness?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing for the business.
Nothing for the business.
Right?
It's great.
Congrats.
Views are awesome.
You got followers in Canada following you for your awesome spearfish content.
Exactly.
That are never going to buy a paint job. Right.
100%.
So it is, there's some truth in what you're saying with that.
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
That's just the way the world lives. The other thing I've heard is think pieces where you write for local publications and stuff like that. I think it's totally awesome if you can get it done. I've tried many, many times to contact local newspapers and stuff like that, and almost universally they're not listening. There are magazines like regional specific magazines. So I have a client down in Abilene, South Abilene Living. It goes to 10,000 homes in Southern Abilene. It actually has articles in it that people read, and you can't do think pieces, but only for the people who already pay for ads. So if that's really advanced stuff, and I don't think that it's really worthwhile.
I think there's actually agree, but I do think there's more of that going on now than most people think.
Exactly. If you're doing it on your own website, if you're doing think pieces on your own website, totally unrelated to brand awareness,
right?
That stuff is great for the algorithm.
Yep.
It's great for AI, to find you in the future. Totally separate conversation. You had that AI conversation a few weeks ago. But from brand awareness perspective, not a lot of people are going to see it. To be honest.
But there's more magazines popping up locally, though.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
Like,
and
we
if
have
you
a
can
brand
get
new
in
one here
those,
in O'Fallon. It's like all of a sudden a year and a half into it. So people think like, oh, print media is dying and all this stuff.
Oh, absolutely not. Those are great, but you usually can't do it for free. You gotta buy an ad in there, and that's totally fine. If you have the bandwidth and the marketing, those are great places to advertise. As long as you're putting good brand awareness content in there, and then if you do, and they have the ability to like write things like, hey, can I write articles for you? And they'll almost always say yes.
Well, it's really funny too. Like, and I think some people don't understand it is pay to play in that, right?
Yes.
And we had like one of the news stations here in St. Louis featured somebody that I knew, and somebody's like, how did the news station reach out to them to like have them featured? And I was like, that they paid for that, right?
Yes.
And they're like, no. And I'm like, absolutely. So, but again, use it to your advantage, because most people don't know that that's actually the case.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last thing I would say is, and this is the more advanced level, this is paid marketing campaigns, brand awareness campaigns. This is generating specific content, graphics, billboards, video, radio ads, all those things, and then paying to make sure they show up in front of people. So this is doing it on Facebook, YouTube, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus. You can be along college football nowadays, Paramount Plus for NFL. You can do billboards, you can do radio ads, Spotify. All those things are kind of like next level, and it allows you to really be seen by lots of people. And it's not as expensive as many people think. So for like over 6 month period in Abilene, Texas, $14,000 of ad spend got like 170,000 of the 270,000 people in that region saw 2.2 million ads. Which is crazy. So that's 13 views per like across almost the entire city over 6 months for $14,000.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
So I want to talk about that, because that's something that, like, when you and I first met, we were talking about it, and I had no idea that was a thing, right? And I've shared this with some people, and like, it's still, in my opinion, in its infancy. Nobody knows about it, right? To me, it's like when Facebook was doing paid advertising and nobody knew about it. Now everybody knows. What do you expect the future of that to look like? Because I don't expect you to have a crystal ball, but like, do you see this being something that people start seeing the opportunity and more people start flooding to, and it does become saturated again? And if so, like, why should people take advantage of that now?
I don't know that it will become saturated, because there's so many different avenues, and everybody is getting in on the action. So, for example, Disney Plus only became available 6 months ago, and ESPN Plus just became available 3 weeks ago. So you can now have ads on ESPN Plus in your local area.
Nice.
Everybody understands. 30 years ago, when you did marketing, you had to have huge spends.
Right.
Now, because of hyper targeting, everybody is doing this. Paramount is doing it, Peacock is doing it, and it's opening up demographics. Yeah, exactly. And so it's opening up more and more and more. So what you're seeing right now is there's so much of it that no one's using it. So maybe we get to a point where it's really, really saturated. I don't know. I mean, a lot depends on, because you have to have that content. And then when you get to these higher levels, the content, honestly, I wouldn't just take my phone and record myself and put that on ESPN Plus.
Right. Agreed. Like, you're going to get some professionalized content.
So the barrier to entry is a little bit higher. It is. So it's going to take a long time, I think, for it to really get saturated.
That's a good point. Here's my thought on this. Like, why I think this can be a big thing for people, and as you're seeing in Abilene, why I've been such a big fan of it since you and I first talked about it is because you go to the Facebook and put an ad out there. Again, one, low barrier to entry. Every truck in a truck can get out a phone, record something, terrible quality, and start competing against you in it, therefore draining the amount you're going to get seen. With this, and on Facebook, what happens? You see an ad, you scroll.
Yep, absolutely. You just go right by it.
What happens on ESPN Plus, Hulu, Disney? Yeah, you can pay more to not have ads. some of us are cheap. Depends on the platform and how much we use it. For our kids, we ad free on Disney Plus, 100%.
Yep.
But like, it's on the screen.
Yeah.
You can't ignore it.
ESPN commercial.
You can't skip it.
Nope.
You can't like, you guys should get out of the program and go to something else and then come back to it. But like, you can't get around it.
Yes.
And that to me is what's interesting as far as we look at like where you're putting your money at.
Yeah.
You can't avoid it.
Yeah.
People are going to see your ad,
Yep.
right? And I think, you can tell a story on Facebook. But again, as people are scrolling reels on Instagram and Facebook, they're not like looking for a painting contractor.
No.
Now, granted, they may not be looking for a painting contractor where they're watching ESPN Plus.
No.
But they're a little bit more likely to tune into it because what else are you going to do? Like,
Exactly.
Probably get on Instagram and scroll reels while the commercials.
Yes.
So what are some tips that can make brand awareness successful?
So great question. In my mind, there's three real elements to make brand awareness, any brand awareness marketing good. Okay. First, they got to know your name. Okay. And then second, they got to know what you do. So I was driving over here. I live in Missouri. Yeah. For those who don't know, Chris is over in Illinois. So I was, in Missouri and Illinois, state trees are billboards. Yeah. And I counted at least 5 billboards where I didn't know what that company does. And then 2 billboards where I couldn't even tell you the name of the company. So if your brand awareness marketing, be it a door hanger, your truck wrap, your ad that you've done on Facebook, your ESPN ad, all across the board, if it doesn't do those 2 things and immediately, you're failing. Okay, so you got to do those 2. And then that third thing is you got to tell your story in some way or another. You got to make that connection. So I'm going to pick on another billboard that I seen. So Gallagher Brothers. Yep. It's a roofing company here in St. Louis. Yep. They are probably paying $20,000 a month for all the billboards they have. They have dozens of billboards all over the city.
Everywhere.
And it just says, Gallagher Brothers, we are roofers. Okay, I know they're roofers. I don't know anything else about Gallagher. No. That hasn't built anything with me except that I know that they do roofing. Yeah. So all of your marketing should in some way or another tell at least a little bit of your story. Be it, let's say your thing is Trust Elite. Yeah. Okay. Everything should have Trust Elite on it. That's just building in a little bit, pictures of you. Yeah. People, I know a lot of guys don't like that, but it's powerful, man.
It is.
And so if you have a billboard where it's, Chris and his crew standing like this, smiling, looking like happy people, that's making a connection. Yeah. So every bit of brand awareness marketing you do has those 3 things. It's your name. Yeah. It's what you do. And it's somehow building in some way or another a connection with those people.
That's really good. I think it's, again, how do you leverage the medium, right? And I think billboards is probably the hardest one because you're limited to size. You're limited. You can't have too small a font, right? You can't put a paragraph up there. Yep. Nobody's going to read that doing 75 down the interstate.
Yep, absolutely.
But as you think about video, you think about different things, right? And that's what I love about the over the top stuff is it's like you get 15 to 30 seconds.
Yes,
that's a good amount of time.
You can tell a great story in 15 seconds. Tell your story,
share what you do, and make sure they know your name.
You can tell a great story in 6 seconds,
right?
So on YouTube, people can skip after 6 seconds or 6 or 7 seconds, depending on what it is. And if they skip, you don't pay. I mean, you know what you can do in 6 seconds? You can absolutely tell everybody what your name is, what you do, and start that brand awareness. Yeah. You can. And so that's another thing. When you make a video, right up front, always tell people who you are and what you do. Yeah. Because 90% of people are going to skip. Yeah. But you've still built something.
At least got that.
Yes.
That's good.
Absolutely.
That's good. And I know that's important too with social media stuff. We talk about hooks and attention getters. It's again, we're in that 3 to 4 second microwave culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's social media again, or if you can skip something on YouTube, we're on to the next thing if it's not engaging to us.
Exactly.
Which is unfortunate, but all right. So how can businesses either do this on their own, utilize an agency, utilize somebody like you, again, as we talk where to start, to understand the foundations behind it, should they try to do this themselves?
So everyone should do something.
Okay.
100% you can do some of this on your own. We go back to the word of the mouth and the organic type of, you should already be doing that.
100%.
So you should be doing that. In terms of the more, paid campaign kind of things, I think there are 4 ranging from easy to moderate that most businesses can think about doing, or slightly more mature businesses, I would say. Yeah. Easy. First, number 1 is donations. Okay. If you're part of your community, in my mind, you should be donating a little bit. Okay. And when you donate, you should always ask. And everyone understands this. When they're asking for money, they know you're going to ask for something in return. That's totally fine. You should ask for a sign at the event. Okay, and then you should make sure that sign fits those 3 things we talked about before. Right. You should ask for links back from their page. If they're on Facebook, which they're going to be on Facebook, you should ask for posts. Yeah. Hey, look at Elite Painting. They are supporting us at whatever our event is. Right. So that's easy. Everyone can do that. I know a lot of people donate already, and they don't do that ask. Yeah. Always make that ask.
That's good.
Second thing that is super easy is Facebook and Instagram boosted posts. Okay, yeah. Dead simple. So you make your post, 1 a week, 2 a week, whatever it is. Every so often you make one that seems to be a little better than the rest. Yeah. Put a few dollars behind it. If you've been on the platform, it always says, "Do you want to boost this post? Do you want to boost this post?" You don't have any control over where it goes. Now they're not going to show it to a dude in India. Right. They will show it locally. Geographically. Yep. You don't have the granular detail you would have from a traditional campaign on Facebook, but you don't want to do that unless you're an expert because their platform is awful. Yeah. But the boosted posts, you just put a few dollars towards it. And so I was just looking at some analysis on some scene that I've seen. A roofing guy I know, not a client of mine, put one $40. It's just a 12-second video, like a drone footage with some nice text on it. $40, and it's already been seen by 2,000 people 4,000 times for $40. You do that a couple times a month. Again, you're already making posts. You should be making posts. Right. Some of those posts that fit that 3 criteria that would make an ad, boost them. It's not a lot of money, and you're starting to build brand awareness in your local area. Slightly more complicated, but still doable. You talk about billboards. I'm going to actually say billboards are an option for a business without having to hire a thing. And I would say that specifically with Lamar. Okay, I haven't worked with DDI or the other ones. I've worked with Lamar, and there's 2 things that make Lamar awesome. One, Lamar has a staff of designers.
It's huge.
So they will design for you, and they're good. Yeah. I have my own design team, and we have stopped doing the design work for the billboards. We just make an outline and give it to their designers, and they do it as part of our contract.
That's awesome.
And they will make the whole thing. Now, you don't want to just let them do whatever because they don't know your brand. Yeah. So you still need to think about it. But if you drive around and you look at billboards, you'll pretty quickly catch on what works and what doesn't work. Yeah. Follow that mantra. Does it tell everybody what you are, what your name is? Does it tell them what you do? And does it have a little bit? In 10 words, you can tell a little story. Yeah. So it doesn't need to be a paragraph. The other great thing is it's not that expensive. In a smaller market like Abilene, Texas, about 280,000 people, $700 a month gets you a digital billboard. It's shown 28 times an hour. It rotates every 2 weeks to one of their 8 billboards, and you can change it once a month. So you can have a Christmas one, you can have a Thanksgiving one. Yeah. So if you already have somebody in-house who's doing marketing, who's writing copy for you, and they're kind of creative, this is a cool challenge for someone like that that's in your office.
That's cool.
And it's not a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
The third one I would say is local radio. This is for smaller markets. Yeah. I wouldn't do it in like St. Louis because it's way too big. Right. But in a smaller market, for $300 a month, you can get 20 to 30 radio ads a week. And the beauty of all these radio stations is kind of the same thing with Lamar. You don't have to make the ad. You should write it. Right. You should have someone in your office write a good ad that has good copy that you've practiced and make sure says who you are, or what you do, has a little bit of that stuff. But then you hand it over to the radio company, and they will go find they'll have a radio guy in another city with a great voice who will record it for you. They'll add some kind of music on the background. Not that much, so that is something, those are things you can do on your own, like as a moderate level thing. When you start to do the more advanced stuff, ESPN Plus, more advanced videos, you really need to be looking at hiring an agency and thinking about, what's that strategy going to look like?
Yep. No, that's good. Or at least hiring an agency to get the content for you.
Yes.
Bare minimum, right?
Well, I would say, so here's the thing. If you're going to have them, because a lot of people, there's a lot of content makers. Yeah. Most of them don't run the campaigns. Right. And nothing is worse than spending thousands of dollars on a thing and just having it sit on a YouTube channel. Right. If you just post it to YouTube, so you really need to run those ad campaigns. Yep. And you can go on to ESPN Plus and do it yourself now. Yeah. You can go on to Paramount Plus. You can go to Hulu. You can do all those things on your own. But it's a lot of work. Yeah. And it's totally doable, but
you got to have somebody dedicated to it if you're doing it in-house.
Exactly.
That's the big thing, right? It's not going to Facebook to just boost a post for $40 for a week.
No, absolutely not. That's a waste of your money.
Yeah, 100%. Jon, this has been great, man. I appreciate you taking time to do this.
Oh, absolutely.
I think kind of my last question for you is a question we get a lot. how do you balance, right? Especially as you're in the newer stages of business, brand awareness versus lead generation marketing, right? And I say lead generation is you're really actively trying to get estimates from it. Yes. Obviously, everything else that we're talking about, you're trying to get estimates from it, but it's harder to track. It's more of a bigger picture strategy, right? So how do you recommend people balance that, especially in the early stages where funds are limited, right? We only have a couple $1,000s we can even squeeze out to just get this thing going, and then momentum will take over, and then you have a better picture. Any advice on how you would suggest kind of balancing that approach?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really, really good question. As a brand awareness guy, my temptation is to be like, brand awareness.
You need it, right?
But the reality is you should take care of the basics first, and so lead generation, I think I was telling you this beforehand, lead generation is a black voodoo art that I don't understand. I've tried it in the past and it's always been a failure, but there are people who do it and they do very good. And that is how you build your business at the beginning, because brand awareness takes time and costs money, and so in my mind, when you want to go to the next level, when you want to be seen next to the NFL football game, that's for a company that's much more mature. They're already pretty well established in their market, and now they're looking to dominate. For guys who've been around for a little bit of time and they're starting to get their legs underneath them, I think lead generation is the way to go, and then doing that word of mouth stuff, doing those door hangers, making sure those are good, doing all the great Instagram posts and stuff like that, making their own videos and putting them on Facebook, doing some boosted posts, maybe dabbling in a billboard or two. That's a great place to start, but I wouldn't put too much into it until you're comfortable saying I can devote pretty significant resources for 6 months to a year before you expect to see a return on investment.
No, that's good. I appreciate that approach and that transparency with it, because again, we see a lot of people are like, well, I need the truck wrap, right? Maybe the truck wrap's $2,000 and that's their entire monthly marketing budget.
Yes.
And truck wraps are great. We actually have a client that we've been able to track this that, and again, with brand awareness is a big thing. People aren't usually going to tell you the 5 times that they saw you.
No.
They're going to tell you the most recent thing that actually made them reach out. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
They've seen your trucks, they've seen your lawn signs, they've heard your radio ad, they've seen your billboards, and then they get a flyer in the mail or a door hanger, and they call and say, oh, how'd you hear about us? The door hanger. Yes, but there was 4 other things that we can't track.
That's exactly. And that's the biggest, hardest part about brand awareness is measurement.
You can't track
it. Which is why I think so many marketing agencies kind of steer away from it.
They do.
Because there's no way to track.
There isn't.
When you do a radio ad, you have no idea how many people heard it. The radio station will tell you, well, we think it was this many people, but
they don't know.
They don't know.
Right. At least ESPN Plus can say, oh, we had this many people plug in. Right?
Exactly.
But to that point, it's easy to, go do the truck wrap right away.
Yep.
And I'm a fan of it. It sounds like you and I have both have shifted our perspectives to be more pro these things. But at the end of the day, it's like you need leads.
Yes.
You having a wrap truck, if you don't have any jobs to go to for it to sit in front of, it don't really matter. Right? If it's sitting at home in your driveway, it ain't doing you a lot of good.
That's absolutely true.
So I think I appreciate your similar approach, being a brand awareness guy.
Yeah.
That we need the lead generation first. We need the Google local service ads. We need the things going to bring in the business that will then allow the momentum to take over to do more brand awareness stuff, because you can afford it and it takes the pressure off of it, and you start building out that overall strategy that will dominate the test of time
for years to come,
not just next month.
Exactly. And the good thing too is when you build that brand awareness, you still do lead generation, but your lead generation was cheaper. And you need less of it. And your Google CPC ads work better. Because when someone sees a Google ad and it's the first time they've seen your name, but if they've seen your name 100 times and they click on that ad, that's a better deal.
Yep. Nick Slavik put it really good last week when we were in Cleveland. I don't know if we shared this on last week's episode that we did with him and Michael, but he was talking about marketing, and he said, people, the science will say, and I'm sure there's a lot of studies out there, but 8 touches over 4 channels.
Yes, I've heard those numbers.
And this came from Titan Sprayers, one of their guys that kind of shared this, and he said, otherwise, if it's 1 channel, it's 20 touches.
I'll believe that. Yeah.
And so regardless of the numbers, the concept, right?
Yes.
Is, how do we make sure that what people are seeing multiple times, and that Google ad isn't the first time they've ever heard of elite painting?
Absolutely.
They've seen, they've heard, they've seen the logo, whatever it is, to where then when they do see that Google ad, there's familiarity there, there's curiosity there, there's that know, like, and trust factor.
Absolutely, yes.
It all plays into it, right? And so when you're starting out, it can be the hard part because you're trying to just generate the leads to get your business going.
Yes.
But just know that eventually there's going to become a balance between the two. And as you said, the brand awareness will make the lead generation that much more effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it, Jon. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank
I
you
really
so much.
appreciate you taking time to do this, and it's been fun. I'm sure we'll do some more episodes in the future.
Absolutely.
If anybody has questions or wants to connect with you, I don't know how much capacity you even have for anybody, but if anybody has questions, they want to connect more about stuff, what's an easy way to get a hold of you?
You can go to my website, skilledtradesmedia.com.
Cool.
Or just Jon Beach at Skilled Trades Media and send me an email, and I will talk to anybody about marketing.
That's what I appreciate it much.
Absolutely.
Man. Sounds good. I'll be sure and put that in the show notes, and have a great rest of the day.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for plugging into this week's episode. I hope you're able to take a few nuggets away from it to implement into your business. Remember, knowledge without implementation is useless. If you're curious about what we do and how we help painting contractors all over North America, schedule a free business analysis meeting with us at www.elitebusinessadvisors.com. Our entire team of advisors have ran and managed painting companies just like myself and are here to help support you on your journey. We have packages available for contractors at every stage of business, from flying solo and just starting out, all the way to multi-million-dollar businesses. And lastly, if you love this episode, please leave us a rating and a review. It helps others on the platform find our podcast, and it could be the best blessing that's ever happened to them thanks to you. Thanks for plugging in, and we'll see you back for next week's episode.
Paint Ed podcasts are produced by the Painting Contractors Association and are made possible by members and industry partners. To find out more about the upcoming educational opportunities or for more information about joining the PCA, visit pcapainted.org.